Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your home for artisanal Bible study. This is just the finest Bible bistro on the internet. This podcast gives you 5 minutes every day in the Psalms, verse by verse, Daily Dose Radio. And today we're looking at Psalm 119, verses 166 and 167. We have a lovely little paradox, or not a paradox, but a syllogism, sort of, here in this passage. I guess we could call it more of a, not a syllogism, but maybe we could call it a chiasm of sorts. This parallelism that is created in these two verses is striking, and it's very powerful. You can hear the heart of the born-again man, the man who trusts in the Lord here in these two verses. It's striking, it's beautiful, sort of like the valedictorian statement, you know. This is the valedictorian statement. As I said, we're celebrating the graduation here, and the psalmist comes here and he makes this declaration of faith. It's beautiful and it's powerful. Let me read it to you from my translation. 166, I have hoped for your salvation, and your commandment I have done. My soul keeps your testimonies and loves them very much. It's also very poetic, isn't it? Kind of flows nicely the way the psalmist has written this. So I'm hoping for your salvation. Of course, salvation is the first word in this line because it matches with the shin division. The word for salvation here begins, the letter shin begins that word. So we have the Lord's salvation is hoped for. And I want you to notice how we have these parallelisms created. I'm hoping for, and I'm loving, and I'm doing, and I'm keeping. So I'm hoping and I'm loving. That's begins and ends. Those verbs begin and end these two verses. Then in the middle, sandwiched in the middle there, that's why I say this is kind of sort of chiastic. We have doing and keeping. So the hoping and the loving always go together. Hope and love are always companions. Go to the New Testament, you'll find that faith, hope, and love. And of course, faith is expressed best in works. So we have all of that here in these two verses in Psalm 119. So I'm hoping for your salvation. That is, I'm not hoping to be saved, but I'm hoping to see it because I've trusted in your word. And I'm doing the commandments. And I'm not hoping that I'll be saved because I'm doing. No, that's not it. I'm doing because I'm hoping. So the hope of your salvation that I'm going to see one day leads me to do. It's one of those transformational ideas that we don't work so that we can be saved, but we're saved, therefore we work. And we're hoping. One day there's a hope for the believer. You know, Jesus is going to return. He's going to take us to be with him. On that day, the rapture is going to happen. And the church, both the church in the past and the church in the present, is going to be caught up into the air with him. And together we'll be with the Lord forever. And then we go on into that great marriage supper of the Lamb. It's going to be wonderful. And that's a hope that every believer has. So I'm hoping for salvation. That is, I'm looking forward to that salvation that the Lord's going to bring and make all things right and all things new. That's the salvation I'm hoping for. I'm not hoping that one day I might be saved because Jesus has already guaranteed that in what he did for me on the cross. And because of that, now my doing takes place. I'm not doing so that it can happen. It's happened, so I'm doing. My hoping leads to doing. My doing leads to keeping, and the keeping comes back to loving again. So my soul keeps your testimonies. Well, how does that happen? Well, that happens because I'm doing, and that happens because I'm hoping. And all of that is founded on the idea of this covenant love that I have with the Father. And that covenant love is established in the Word only, according to your Word, according to your testimonies, according to your commandments. I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we finish up our graduation party by looking at verse 168 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.